trouble. GM Joe Douglas said they did explore trade options, but in the end decided to release the two-time All-Pro. Le'Veon anxious to move on, tweeting this last night, got a lot to prove. I'm ready to go. Brandon, I want to start with you. What does this latest move by the Jets say about the current state of the Jets organization?
Well, first of all, he should be ready to go. He's been there, almost 2 years, and he hasn't had one good game, and it's not because of him. They just haven't used him. So he should be ready to go. He should have a lot of gas in the tank. I think it's another episode of Jet TV. I mean, this could be, the second coming of Rich Kotite era. This is really bad. I mean, you got to think about this. McCagnon brings him in. He trumps Adam Gase. Adam never wanted him because his system, and going back to the Denver days, let's have 2-3 running backs that can carry the load. So he never wanted him in the first place, not because he's not a great talent, but because he just didn't fit the system. So this was doomed from the beginning. So when you look at this, it's terrible because we literally wasted 2 years of one of the most premier backs in the NFL. I mean, just a couple years ago, we were talking about how he could potentially be one of the all-time greats. So smooth, so powerful. He can also line up outside and catch the ball. His eyes are amazing. And Brian, I'm interested to hear your take on this as a running back, but this was doomed from the beginning.
Yeah, it may have been doomed from the beginning, but what do you mean Adam Gase as a coordinator, as a head coach, can't find a way to use one of the best running backs in the league? Le'Veon Bell has the ability to run the ball. He has the ability to catch the ball out of the backfield. Gotcha. And so what I did is I went back to figure out how Adam Gase got to this point. And I went back to 2013. His offense was first in the league in points per game, yards per game. They were in 2014. His offense was second in the league in points per game, fourth in the league in yards per game. But that was with Peyton Manning as your quarterback. Anybody could be the coordinator at that point. Since then, he's had Jay Cutler, Ryan Tannehill, and Sam Darnold. And we've seen what has happened with Sam Darnold. The stats, you have to look at them. They've been 26 in points per game on average and 27th in yards per game on average with those three quarterbacks. And when you watch Sam Darnold this year, 3 touchdowns and 4 interceptions, he looks like a shell of himself. I have to question, if your quarterback has been struggling this much, why is the running back who can do it all, can do everything that you would want a running back to do, why is he concerned with touches? You have to give him the ball. Your quarterback is struggling. I have to question Adam Gase. I just think that he's brought a bad culture and a bad character to that football team, and it seems like that locker room has been toxic. Guys want to get out of there, and when guys leave, they're so happy to leave the Jets. They're willing to leave some money on the table just to get out of there.
Yeah, we saw that with Jamal Adams, too. So where does L. Bell go right now? So Fox Bet had the Steelers, believe it or not, the Pittsburgh Steelers, as the favorites to trade for the star back before his release. I mean, look, it's an enticing possibility. He certainly knows that system. Mike Tomlin certainly knows how to use him in his system. Brian, I'll throw it back to you. Would it make sense for the Steelers to bring Le'Veon Bell back?
No. I mean, I think he'll be a decent fit because he knows the offense and system. But James Conner has been balling. The Steelers are playing well. They have a good continuity with their running backs currently. Not that Le'Veon Bell was a cancer. I just don't want to bring him back to try to mess up the rotation. I remember when I went to San Francisco, I was at the end of my career. Le'Veon Bell certainly is not. And Frank Gore was there. There was a point where Frank felt that I was there to threaten his position, so he took every rep in practice, and he literally, for the first 7 or 8 games, took almost every rep in the game. I was there to help him. I wanted him to go out there and play. I wanted to play on the downs that he was tired, but Frank felt a little bit different. You don't want to mess up the chemistry that you have going on with your football team in Pittsburgh. That's why I don't think he's a good fit. There's 3 teams that I think that Le'Veon Bell was a good fit. Number 1, of course, and I think it's obvious, Tariq Cohen was lost for the Chicago Bears. He's a do-it-all type of running back. Yeah, Le'Veon Bell can step in and do it there. Obviously, New England gets everyone that's released, and they're an older player. They can obviously make room for New England. But this is one that I think that I'm surprised Nick hasn't brought it up yet. And it kind of surprises me that Andy Reid isn't associated with them at this point, because the Kansas City Chiefs have a rookie running back. And what happens with rookies, game 12 or 13, you start to hit the wall. And at that point, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, who has been very, very good all season long, he may hit that wall. It's perfect to have a veteran running back that can catch the ball out of the backfield like Andy Reid loves, that can run the ball in between the tackles, and gives Patrick Mahomes another option to try to get the ball to. To me, that's a perfect fit.
AB, I was going to crush you. When you said no to the Steelers, I was absolutely going to crush you, but you came with it. The Bears is a perfect fit. Since Nagy has been there, he hasn't been able to establish a run game. I think they're like 26th or 27th in the league in rushing yards. So that is a really good one. But I still got to lean towards the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Pittsburgh Steelers haven't changed in 25 years. On the defensive side, they're a zone blitz defense. On the offensive side, they're a power O run game. And that's why this is a perfect fit for him, because of what he's able to do, not only in the run game with his vision and his feet and the continuity that I'm sure still exists within that locker room, because it was never a personality thing with Le'Veon Bell. I know Connor is balling. He's averaging 4.9 yards a carry. Like, you can bet the house on that. Like, that's really good. But think about having Le'Veon Bell. That's 5.5 yards a carry. That's 6 yards a carry. And then don't forget about what he was doing in that offense in the passing game. This guy is a wide receiver.
Well, so listen, I do think because Le'Veon didn't play in 2018 and might as well not have played in 2019 or 2020, people have forgotten what he was in Pittsburgh, which is, we can show it, the single most productive per game back in the history of the NFL. Most scrimmage yards per game ever by any running back was Le'Veon Bell in a Steelers uniform. So even if he is just 75% of what he once was, he can help a team, which is why, Wilds, it's so irritating that he's going to end up in New England. He's going to end up with you guys. You guys are somehow going to have Le'Veon Bell and Cam Newton combined on the year for what the Saints pay Taysom Hill every week. And it's just, I mean, I can already see it. I can just already see it. So just gloat. Just be happy. I can't believe it.
All right, first of all, if he's on the Patriots, I'm going to be wearing a Le'Veon Bell jersey. But Brian, and Nick had a good graphic. He's better than Barry Sanders. Okay, sure. Has he put anything on tape in these 17 games that makes you think he's the same guy? Am I supposed to just assume he's the same guy in a Steelers uniform and blame it all on the Jets? And here's my favorite Brian Westbrook stats. Once every 31 carries, Brian Westbrook would break a 20-yard run. Le'Veon Bell had 264 carries and never had a 20-yard run with the Jets. So is that all on the Jets' offensive line in their scheme? Or is at some point you're like, dude, you got to break one of these. You had 264 carries. You didn't get one?
Well, Kevin, I think you have a point. He hasn't had a lot of good games in the Jets uniform. But the other part to that is the culture of the locker room, the character of the locker room, the offensive line, the quarterback play, all those things play into how successful a running back can be. And when you look at all those things, they've all been bad in the Jets. And so if I think of Le'Veon Bell, he had the year off a couple years ago. I still think he can play. I don't want him to be my starter. I don't want him to be the guy that's going to give me 20, 25 touches per game, but he is a guy that can get you 10 to 12 touches and be very productive. And so I have no problem with sticking him in a situation where he can be a reserve type of role. He won't be my starter, but if he comes in a reserve role, I'll be fine with that.
What?
I also think that, Jenna, if we remember when he was with Pittsburgh, he was the most unique stylistic runner in the league, where he would seemingly stop in the hole and wait. And so I would argue his style might be more dependent on an offensive